Hi, this is David Saville. Now, this is about how you can create exponential growth in your business. And this is about another big assumption that's keeping your future, your success, your exponential growth out of your life. And that is that I don't know enough. You know, it's like I'm sure there's plenty of training courses you can go on, books to read. You know, there's lots you can always know more to be better, right? There's always more knowledge. But without the actual application of it, what good is that knowledge? In fact, I think the entire school system's set up like that, isn't it? You learn, then years later you get to apply. So you don't actually know the real world application of it till long after. So of course, is it any surprise that when you get out into the real world that you find yourself, I found myself struggling. I very much used to be in my head. You know, I used to have to think things through, and I'd go from this course to that course, trying to just know more. And guess what? I procrastinated, didn't get a lot done. It held me back massively. When actually, now that I dive in and I get ready on the way, in fact, Richard Branson's famous for saying that, isn't he? He says, just say yes and get ready on the way. That's what he says. So if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. And since I've had that kind of attitude of just like to fucking dive in feet first, or head first even, and then because then when you're in it, I'm screwing up, I'm making mistakes, things are going wrong. And guess what? That's when I know what knowledge I need, when I'm actually in it. Beforehand, it's just guesswork, and you can always learn more, always. So I recommend you start jumping in as soon as possible. Of course you don't know enough, you never will. And until you do something, it's just kind of a fantasy anyway. You don't even know if you really want to do it. So as soon as you imagine something, the shorter you can make imagination to action. I imagine that I'd like to do this, and then doing it, the faster your growth will be, and the more fulfilling life will be too, because you're not waiting around. And also people say, but there's specific things you need to know. Of course there are, right? There are certain things you need to know to do certain things. That's a lot of certains. But most things you can Google search, you can ask someone. You can, whilst learning or going on a training course, apply most of what you learn practically as well, in most industries, So yeah, burn that assumption out. It's also a way of keeping yourself stuck as well, isn't it? Saying, I don't know enough yet, so I'll just stay back here. Which is great, except life passes you by. And other people will just dump in. There's a reason why. Most of the most successful people on the planet, a lot of them left school early. They didn't get trained to learn first, do after. They trained themselves to do first, learn on the way. I'd say that's a lesson worth learning, and I highly recommend you do that. So if you want to create your exponential growth, you know enough already to start. In fact, that's how you know. How do you know when you know enough? You know enough to take that first step. That's all you need. Then when you're there, you can learn more. So, what have you been holding back from doing because you don't think you know enough? And what is the first step you can take right now, today, to head towards that? Take care.